as you can see in that little illustration right there. And these are contrasted with impermeable surfaces. So things like your asphalt driveway that, again, you can see in this image right there where the water is just falling directly onto it and running into the storm sewer system. So you might be wondering, well, what's the problem with stormwater? I just want it away from my house. But the issue with stormwater is that many stormwater systems in older areas of Ottawa, disperse untreated water into the watershed, and with it, that brings with it a lot of pollutants, causes erosion, damage along the way, causes issues with infrastructure and around your own home. It can cause localized damage and localized flooding. And these issues are kind of getting compounded by the increasing frequency of rainfall events that affect properties and the environment as a result of our changing climate. So by dealing with stormwater, we can be more climate resilient in the face of these changes. So you can kind of see, in this example right here, the stormwater runs into these sewer grates right here, and then eventually makes its way to the waterways. And this can also contribute to some beach closures as well as sort of that runoff and those pollution that it is gathering along the way. Likewise, again, the oil on people's driveways, the debris and garbage it gathers in the side of the road. Again, this can get picked up by runoff and taken into the environment. So by managing it on site and effectively around your home, again, you are preventing these wider environmental issues, but also protecting your property. Because the solution is becoming rain ready. And it's that combination of public action, so things that the city is doing within its right of way, such as retrofitting in its own rain gardens and bioswales, and also private action, so things that you can do around your home to help mitigate this issue. Again, protect yourself, protect the environment. So it's doing, this first step, which we're all doing this evening right now, which is learning. And then step two, hopefully, is taking some action at home and also in your community. So now I'm going to go over some of these projects that you can implement around your home. And these are all sort of centered around landscaping solutions, which are ideally suited to both, again, manage stormwater on site, but also give you perhaps an aesthetic improvement to your current property. So with the Rain Ready program, we've identified 4 broad categories, and these are downspout redirections, infiltration galleries or soak-away pits, permeable pavements, and rain gardens, sort of examples of which you can see at the bottom of this slide. Installing these projects with this cool new discipline called fusion landscaping in mind can again both maximize the benefits to your property and the wider environment, protecting our watershed. And you might be wondering, well, hang on, what is this fusion landscaping? Well, again, this is a new discipline developed by the landscaping industry here in Ontario in collaboration with several municipalities that combines the science of hydrology, so water management, with the art of horticulture. So again, you're getting both functional landscapes that managing stormwater first and foremost, which is a bit of a change from how it's been approached in the past, while still being aesthetically pleasing. And through the Rain Ready Ottawa program, we subsidize the training of local Ottawa firms in this certification. So as you go down your Rain Ready Ottawa journey, you may look to employing or contracting some services to these guys, and you'll be aware that they have received the proper training and certification with the support of this city program. So the first project you can kind of do, and it's really one of the simplest that you could probably even do this weekend, is just kind of get creative with your downspout runoff. Again, the simplest solution is, as you can see in the image right here, is just extending it away from your foundation or redirecting from your driveway with just a simple downspout extender you can get at any sort of hardware store. Ideally, you want to extend it up to 3 meters and have it dispersing water from your roof into a permeable part of your property. So take it your lawn, or an existing garden, or maybe a new type of garden that we're going to talk about shortly. You can also combine this with rainwater harvesting to maximize the benefits. So you could set up a rain barrel with the help of a downspout diverter, or even put some larger cisterns in place to gather that water to, again, reduce it from flowing off your property, but also then being able to reuse it right there. So one of the aspects of this job that's kind of ruined walking around this neighborhood, around my own neighborhood, is I sort of see where people are dumping water too close to their foundations or right onto their foundation. So you realize that this problem is quite prevalent, but there's a very simple solution that you can implement. by redirecting your downspout just like this. Or if you want to take it to the next level, you can install things like rain chains, incorporate into a decorative element, or you can put it into a dry creek stone bed right here that is going into an existing garden. So again, if you want to move beyond just getting the simple extender, you can just implement something such as these that you can see on the screen right there. But if you want to take it to the next level again, you can say, well, what's the way I've got minimal space, or I'd like to install something that can take a lot of water from my roof, and you could look to recharging the groundwater with something like a soak-away pit. So these are, as you can see in the image on the left here, basically underground chambers that are wrapped in geotextile fabric and filled with stone, and then just covered on top with lawn or garden that you can direct your downspout to. So it can take an incredible volume of water, and it basically creates a holding chamber that stores that water until it can be safely absorbed into the ground below. So the middle example here again is 3 downspouts from 2 separate homes being redirected towards one of these systems. And then the last image you see here is what it looks like just covered with lawn. So easily integrated into your existing landscape, and you can certainly utilize that place afterwards if you so choose. So this cross section right here gives you a bit of an idea, again, of what this looks like underground. So we've got a downspout coming down off of the home right here. We've got the soak-away pit, again, sited minimum of 3 distance away from your foundation. This helps prevent any backflow of that water. And there's a little pop-up emitter right here that allows for maintenance and cleaning if needed, because on occasion these things may get kind of filled up with debris. So it's good that you install a system that allows you to get in there and clean it out where needed. You can also put little pre-clean out, pre-treatment systems directly on the downspout to sort of catch leaves or whatever to, again, keep this system empty and while functioning. So this can be as simple, again, as this stone-filled pit you see here, or there's engineered products that I'll show an image of shortly that you can also install to give even more volume. So permeable hardscapes. So traditional asphalt and concrete is impervious. We've all seen it. Water just hits this and it runs off, or it pools on it, or it makes it crack, causes all kinds of problem. But new permeable treatments that have shown up in the last little while in the Ottawa area can be applied to driveways, walkways, and patios, and instead allow that water to infiltrate it and dissipate where it falls into the ground below. So one of the trade-offs with these, of course, is that they do have higher upfront costs, but they have improved performance in all kinds of conditions. So because they're built with water in mind, they're not susceptible to the sort of cracking and heaving you get from the freeze-thaw cycle because water is just running through it. In the winter times, you don't have to change your winter maintenance routines at all. And they also encourage a little bit of snow melting, actually, because of the air trapped underneath of it is increasing the ambient temperature of that driveway. So it makes it even easier to maintain the winter. And there's kind of 2 options with the solution. You've got with this, where the red car is parked, this is a permeable asphalt. So it's kind of put down all in one layer, and rainwater can, again, fall right through it. Or you can also opt for an interlock solution. So this just uses larger fill between the joints to, again, encourage that water to infiltrate and get soaked into the ground below. So you can see a couple of more examples right here, and you can still get really creative with you doing borders within these decorative designs. Again, here's an example applied to a patio. And really what's happening right here, and we'll see a cross section in a moment, is you've got multiple layers of stone that is encouraging that water to infiltrate and get down into the ground below. So again, with this cross section, so all those images, we were seeing this top layer right here, number 1, and you can see through layers 2, 3, 4, and down into 5 that there are varying, increasing sizes of stone that this water is running through, building a really strong base for the driveway or walkway or whatever it is that you've chosen to install, and creating space underneath of it for that water to be stored before it is safely absorbed into the ground underneath of it. These are also typically at the very bottom. Again, there's a geotextile layer that's put in that prevents the infiltration of any kind of roots or debris from underneath, and allows for continuous good infiltration. Surfaces such as this can last anywhere from 25 up to 40 years. with some occasional maintenance required to clean out those pores that the water is running through to keep it functioning properly. Now, if you're a gardener or someone who's interested in a little bit of a softscape solution, rain gardens are a perfect fit for you. So these are bowl-shaped gardens that are designed to receive stormwater and allow it to be slowly absorbed into the ground, into the soil through plant irrigation and well-draining soils. So these depressed gardens, again, can collect runoff from your roofs. You can run a downspout to these from your driveway. So you could site it along your driveway just to collect the runoff there or alongside a patio. And there's a lot of diverse design and planting options. So all of these you can see kind of have a bit of a different appearance in mind, a little bit of a different landscape aesthetic. Some are using a little bit more stone than others. But broadly speaking, these are all, again, just depressed areas that are taking that water and allowing it to filter into the ground below. So this little cross section here gives you a bit of an idea of what that, again, looks like in practice. So we've got a downspout here, again, situated or extended 2 to 3 meters from your home and foundation. There's an inlet here, an erosion-proof inlet. You just want to put rocks, or you can, again, underline this little bit right here with a geotextile to ensure that there is no erosion from where the water comes in. You can see that bowl shape right there in the middle. So ideally, it's kind of about a 15, 20 centimeter depression so that the water is pooling in there and sits there until it is able to be absorbed by those plants that you're putting in there. When you're putting in a rain garden, you're going to want to excavate the area as well and kind of replace it with about a foot to maybe even 2 feet of a new growing medium, which is just typically soil mixed with compost and sand to encourage that good infiltration. You're kind of aiming for like a 50, 25, 25 ratio right there. Another thing to kind of bear in mind too when you're putting in a rain garden is you want to have an overflow identified because in the event of a very extreme rainfall event, this system may overflow. So you want to just make sure that if that does happen, that excess water is going to, again, another part of your lawn, that it can be absorbed or at least not negatively impacting your home in those instances. So this right here is a really great resource that can be shared around afterwards with this presentation. And this is a draft a rain garden plan that we've created through the Rain Ready Ottawa program that you can use to kind of guide a rain garden installation if that's something you want to do. So we've got a sample planting plan right here. And typically it's ideal that you utilize native plants and native vars when making a rain garden because they're going to be really well suited to the conditions that you're going to be creating. So you can see right here, we've got kind of butterfly milkweed, we've got blazing star, we've got some New England aster within this. Again, you can see that the suggestions that we are making right here have varying bloom times. You're getting an all-season, all-color garden. And again, another cross-section here showing that downspout leading into that garden, this depressed bowl shape, and the kind of plantings you can put within this. So again, these plants are going to be very key to the functioning of that rain garden. And using perennial native plants maximizes the benefits in the sense that they are suited to the conditions of drought and heavy sort of water saturation they're going to be creating with this system. So, and the other benefit of using native plants is the aesthetics and also the biodiversity. So you'll also be helping pollinators at the same time as you're managing stormwater on site. If you're curious and want to see an example of what a rain garden could look like in action, well, the city's in the process of installing rain gardens at some of its community centers to measure the impact, but also provide you with an example again of what a rain garden is so you can go visit in person. So this is a rain garden at Marinerdale Park, which is just south of College Ward, there in sort of the Knoxdale neighborhood, at the Margaret Rywak Community Building. And this is a demonstration rain garden we put in through this program in 2021. And you can see in 2024 just how much it has grown. And again, this is just rain fed. by the downspout of this community building right here. So the benefit has been that we are now more effectively managing stormwater on site right here. We're avoiding any kind of ice buildup or runoff damage that was coming previously. And now we've got a really thriving garden here on site that, well, if you go by around this time of year, all that aster in the back is going to be in bloom, and I bet there's going to be a lot of bees around there. Another example, now this is way over in the East End in Orleans, but this is something we did install last year just to give you an idea of how much this can grow in just 1 year. This is done at the Aquaview Community Center. So this is just a patch of grass before. Now it's got a nice new rain garden. Again, managing the runoff from the roof of this building that is about the size of an average home. You can see just a year later how well things like the purple coneflowers are doing, the blazing star, the butterfly milkweed. So again, great habitat for pollinators, grows really well and is thriving in the conditions you're creating with a rain garden. So now that we've gone over what some of these projects are, I'm just going to kind of talk about what an installation process might be, what you want to look for if you're deciding what elements I'm going to want to put in, and where you can go to get some help if needed. So, before starting any kind of landscaping project, you want to take a bit of a holistic look at your property, get an idea of what's happening out there, and sort of visualize what you'd sort of like to change about it to better manage rainwater runoff for the protection again of your property and that environment. So take note of where your downspouts are. Where are they dispersing? Are they dispersing right by your foundation or too close to it? Are they dispersing directly onto your driveway, perhaps running off directly into a storm sewer system? Is there a way to redirect that? Likewise, how is the water flowing when it exits these downspouts? Perhaps it's kind of pooling in a part of your property. Maybe that could be an ideal place based on the topography to install one of these systems to encourage better infiltration. Likewise, how else is it running off your roof and your paved surfaces as it leaves that property? This is going to kind of influence where would be a good place to site these projects and how you can maximize the benefits. Likewise, thinking about where on your property do you have the space to safely locate these away from your property while also maximizing those benefits. So when we're thinking about kind of sizing something such as a rain garden, you're going to want it to be about 10 to 20% of the area that generates runoff that is going to be kind of fed by this thing. So with the example of this garage roof right here, which is about 30 square meters, you're going to want to aim for a rain garden that's about 3 to 6 square meters in size. If you have poorly drained soils, you're going to want to aim for a larger rain garden, about 20% of the size. So we're going to do that 6 square meter rain garden. If you have well-draining soils, you're going to instead do a smaller garden. So say you have sandy soil. When we're talking about soakaway pits, and this is kind of one of those engineered products that I mentioned earlier, you can actually kind of size it for every 20 square meters of directly connected impervious area. You're going to want to aim for a volume of 1 meter cubed if you're just doing a stone pit like we talked about earlier, or a 1/3 meter cubed if you're using an engineered product like these crates right here. So in that previous example, you would just be constructing a soakaway pit of either 1.5 meter cubed in size or about 1/2 meter cubed if using one of these engineered products. So you can get an idea of how these can be smaller and manage a larger volume of water. So these are really great if you have, again, some space constraints or a lot of runoff that you're attempting to manage. When selecting a site for a rain garden or a soakaway pit, again, look for where that water is draining. Site it 2 to 3 meters away from your home. Flat areas or gently sloping areas. And always, it's important to remember kind of snow storage, especially in the context of your rain garden, because you don't really want those soils to get compacted, or you might want to consider your planting choices for ones that are a little more tolerant to snow loads over the winter months. Things to avoid when you're putting in either a rain garden or soakaway pit. Don't put this over utilities. Avoid putting over a septic bed or upslope of your home. That's going to kind of, mitigate any kind of positive impacts you're going to be getting out of that runoff. Don't put it behind a retaining wall. Will compromise the stability of that. Again, any active use areas, in particular when we're talking about the rain garden, because you don't want those soils to get compacted. or any areas with slopes greater than 15%. So, any kind of significant hills, because it's just not going to be a great area for a rain garden because water is going to come down far too quickly into it and cause a lot of additional erosion and might just kind of run out and not effectively function properly. And we're speaking in the context of a permeable kind of pavement, any kind of hardscape you can certainly apply this to. If you're thinking, well, again, I would like to get some professional help, I want to learn more about these Fusion certified landscapers, then you can find a list of FLP professionals by visiting fusionlandscapeprofessional.ca. Landscape Ontario, their industry association, maintains this list, and there's a great map that shows where all of those firms are located across the city. Or you can reach out to myself at rain@ottawa.ca for a list of firms as well. So now that we've talked about these projects you could put in and what putting one of those in might look like, I'm now going to spend some time to talk about what you can utilize Rain Ready Ottawa for in assisting you in this journey of making a more sustainable and rain ready property for the benefit, again, of protecting your home and keeping those waterways healthy. So kind of our big offering is that through Rain Ready Ottawa, you can get up to $5,000 in rebates to support you in the installation of those projects I talked about earlier. So you can get up to $750 per downspout redirection, $2,500 for a rain garden, $2,500 for a soakaway pit, or $5,000 for a permeable pavement. Likewise, if you opt to work with a certified Fusion landscape professional, you could get a rebate of $500 for the design work they have to do for you. Most of these rebates are area-based, so influenced by the final size of the installed landscape. Makes it a little easier when it comes to tracking your expenses and claiming your expenses afterwards. And there's kind of three ways to be eligible to apply. The first thing is you want to check that if you live in a priority area, but if you're living within College Ward, I'm happy to say that's very easy because everybody within College Ward is eligible for this rebate program. And then you're going to either want to work with an FLP, complete a home assessment. This was a previous program offering, but perhaps you've done it. This is something that makes you eligible for the rebate, or you can complete our online e-learning courses, which I'll talk about in a moment. So we've attempted to design the rebate process to be as simple as possible, an easy 5-step process, which again starts with verifying your geographic eligibility, which just kind of done for you because again, as long as you're living within College Ward, you should be eligible. And then you're going to want to either get a quote from an FLP, complete the e-learning courses, or if you already have it, utilize your home assessment. Then you're going to want to go on to ottawa.ca/rain and fill out your application there. You're going to want to include, again, one of those 3 eligibility requirements above, some before images, proof of ownership, a site plan. Then that's going to be submitted to myself for review. Then you're going to, once you get approval, you'll then proceed with installing your project. Once your project is complete, you can submit your claim, following which you will get your rebate. So again, just a brief little map here showing the boundaries of College Ward right now, and everything in blue is eligible for the rebate program. So whether you're in Bell's Corners or you're living over in City View, you are eligible to get this rebate. So some other offerings we have. So if you want to learn, get some more in-depth knowledge about what I've talked about a bit this evening, you can sign up for our free online bilingual courses in stormwater management in Ottawa, how to redirect your downspout, how to create a great rain garden, or how to install a soakaway pit or infiltration trench. So a link to these courses can be found on ottawa.ca/rain. These are really great. They take about 40 minutes to go through. They got a little bit of knowledge testing, and they're really going to be step-by-step processes and understanding how these function a little more in depth and how you could go about installing one on your own. So again, if you want to take on the project yourself to get that rebate, this is that option for you. Another thing you could look at is through Rain Ready Ottawa, we kind of partner with rainbarrel.ca to support Rain Barrel fundraisers. So these are a really great way to get a rain barrel for your own home while also supporting a great local cause. They're a nonprofit organization that, again, partners with scout groups and other sort of community groups to raise money for their cause, while also supplying you with a really great affordable rain barrel to reduce runoff on your property. And then I just want to take some time to talk about some other city programs you can also take advantage of to make your home more resilient in the face of flooding events or climate events. So the first of these is the Residential Protected Plumbing Program. This is a citywide program where you can get up to $1,500 to help cover the cost of sump pumps and backwater valves to help prevent any sort of surcharging from city lines into your basement. That may result in some kind of flooding. So you go to ottawa.ca/RPPP to learn some more about that program. And then there is also the Better Homes Ottawa Loan Program. And again, this is a citywide program for small residential properties that can provide fixed rate financing of 4.55%, of up to $125,000 to support energy efficiency retrofits in your home. So things like new windows, solar on your roof, or you can even apply some of that funding to a few of the rain-ready projects I mentioned this evening, for example, permeable pavement. And you can certainly combine all of these programs, apply to them all at once, or mix and match depending on what you're sort of considering. And I just want to take a moment to mention this weekend. On Sunday, I will be doing a stormwater management pond tour in collaboration with our infrastructure group here at the city. So if you're interested in learning some more about that process, it's from 9:30 to 2:30. We'll be stopping by 3 sites across the city, starting at the Sawmill Creek Pond at South Keys, and perhaps of most interest for more people living around here. We're then going to do a tour arriving probably around 11 a.m. For the new Pinecrest Creek Stormwater Management Pond. So we're going to check out the site. Again, we'll be joined by one of the stormwater engineers who designed that project. We're going to talk a bit about how it functions and what the benefits are for Pinecrest Creek and the wider neighborhood in that area. And then we'll be finishing off at Brewer Park by Carlton, looking at another sort of wetland project there. So I just wanted to pitch that. And then with that, we can kind of move to the Q&A portion of the webinar. So I think if you have any questions, you can sort of pop those in the chat and I'll do my best to answer those. Likewise, I encourage you to go on to ottawa.ca/rain to learn more about the Rain Ready Ottawa program and understand what some of the requirements are for the rebate, and likewise what you can take advantage of to learn a bit more knowledge. Likewise, if you have any questions later or at any time, you can always reach out to myself. Again, my name is Connor at rain@ottawa.ca. So if anybody, again, has any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer those. Or again, you can always send them afterwards as follow-up. Sure, I do see one question. So are you able to just, if you can just type that into the chat, it's the best way. So there's a Q&A function that you can put that into. Okay, so the first question I see here, most of these projects are financially expensive. What can we do if we're unable to afford some other ideas? So again, I think starting with, again, doing a downspout redirection, this is one of the most effective things you can kind of do really, really affordably. This can be done for, as little as kind of $50, getting one of those downspout extenders and just putting that to either your lawn or an existing garden and just soaking up that rain right there. Likewise, doing a rain garden is something that you could also pretty easily take on rather affordably. So I would kind of recommend both of those options as sort of your first steps in terms of a low cost solution. So I see, oh, I got a question here about the Better Homes program. If someone has already done an energy assessment, say for the Greener Homes Grant program, can that be used for the Better Homes program? Yes, yes, you can use that home assessment. It's the same home assessment you can use to be eligible for that. What kind of upfront cost is required before you can apply for the RPPP grant? That I'm not entirely sure of. I can follow up with that. I'm not kind of the expert on the program. You can also use email rppp@ottawa.ca, but you will need to work with a plumber for that program, so you will have to kind of get a quote from them. So I would encourage you to follow up with the program coordinator for that. This thing has ended up in the Q&A chat. I'm just going to pop over there. Yeah, so Peter, so the assessment process, again, that's not something that we offer anymore through the program, but if you work with a fusion landscape professional, they'll usually come by and do a site visit and complete that as part of their initial consultation design work. Um, so that way, and then that can be carried over into a project if you decide to do that. One of the things that we're going to be looking to add in 2025 at some point is a new e-learning course that focuses on how to assess your home with regards to these stormwater issues. Question about curious about the buried storm ditch culverts in my neighborhood. On one side of my street, um, there are storm ditches. On my side of the street, looks like they've been buried and have underground culverts. I notice that the drains of those culverts are quite far apart and quite small. I'm suspicious that the ones in front of my house are too far apart. Are there standards I can get a better idea of how these are maintained or what I should be looking for? That is a good question, Patrick. And I know there's a specific group at the city who is responsible for ditch culverts. So I think we can follow up afterwards. I can reach out to them. So if you want to send me an email actually to rain@ottawa.ca with this question, I can connect you with the staff person who can better answer that question when it comes to ditches within your neighborhood. I want to install some of this on my own. Do I need to get a consultant to help or can I do it myself? So if you just, again, take those online e-learning courses, you can sort of self-certify in the process of putting in a downspout redirection, a rain garden, or a soak-away pit, and take on that work yourself. You just have to document the process, submit a rebate application beforehand, and then undertake that work. For something like a permeable pavement, you will still have to work with a professional to get that installed. But for the other three project types, you do have the ability to do that work your own by taking the e-learning courses. So I see we have a question now about what is the spend to rebate ratio for the RAIN program? So how much you need to spend in each category to max out the rebate. So basically, the cap overall is $5,000. And then there's sort of smaller caps. So the cap for a rain garden and a soakaway pit is $2,500. And then for the downspouts, it's $750 per downspout redirection. The downspout redirection is a 75% of eligible costs rebated. So you have to spend $1,000 in order to get that $750. When it comes to the other rebates, they're just area based, so there isn't some kind of minimum spend in that sense. So you don't need to, for example, put in a $10,000 rain garden to get the $2,500. You actually just need to, you'll instead if you put in a 10-meter square rain garden, you'll get $750, for example, right there. Or if you do a 100 square meter permeable pavement, you'll get $5,000. Yes, I see there's a question about A neighbor just paid a contractor to redirect our downspouts away from our foundation. Is she able to apply for the rebate to recover some of the money spent? Well, generally the program is not retroactive because it has to meet the specific criteria of the program. Now, I mean, retroactive rebates can be considered, but that's really a case-by-case basis. So this is something that has to be planned out and approved beforehand. But you can certainly encourage your neighbor to reach out and we can discuss further. But again, I emphasize that this should be approved before the work is done. See, I see we have another question here in the chats. Will properties that implement improvements to mitigate stormwater management strategies get a discount on property taxes? At this time right now, I know that is something that is not being looked at currently. Some of the you may have seen news about the stormwater charge is being reviewed right now, and there might be some consideration for a reduced fee if you increase the permeable surfaces on your property. But for the time being, this is kind of the program that exists to incentivize reducing your stormwater runoff and absorbing more on site in terms of getting a rebate for that work. Just going to kind of look through the chat right now, see if there's any other questions. Q&A, I'm just going to check in there. Okay, I don't see any further questions right now, but we'll wait around for a few minutes. Let's see what we got. Sure, yep, go ahead. So we have another question pending. So the cost per square meter for permeable asphalt, it kind of ends up to being about twice as much as a regular driveway. So I guess we'll give the example of your typical kind of two-car driveway costs about $10,000 per permeable laneway. So it would be about $20,000 to do that size of a driveway. So I believe it works out to be about $25 to $30 a square foot is what I've sort of been told. What that is in square meters, I can't sort of think about the top of my head. But again, it's about $10,000 per laneway. So again, $10,000 at single laneway or $20,000 if it is a two-lane driveway. And then I see a question here if you just did a redirection, if you've done the work. So again, you can reach out to me, rain@ottawa.ca, and we can discuss this in more detail. You can give me some more details on the project you just did, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay. Click on the Q&A. What do I have? I see we have a question about what the material name of the permeable asphalt. So there's a lot of different products out there that are kind of sort of considered permeable asphalt. So there's kind of a product out there right now that's called Pure Pave. There's also another product that is called Romex. They have sort of a permeable solution. And then all the sort of the big interlock companies like Technoblock, Permacon, Oaks, they all sort of make permeable interlock options that are available out there in the market that many installers are utilizing. So lots of options, and there's more and more coming onto the market right now because there's a lot more demand within North America for this product, and suppliers are kind of responding accordingly. I see a question about the copy presentation. I see Heather's got that there. I'll also share with Heather that she can pass along the presentation. Yep, exactly right there. Some links, some other material, and a few other extra things I didn't have time to discuss this evening that, again, provide some more detail on things you can do around your home. Check the Q&A again. Okay, go back to chat. Oh, you're most welcome. All right. Yeah, I'll wait around a few more minutes. If anybody's got any other questions, again, you can pop them in the chat still, or again, you can just follow up later by sending an email directly to me. Well, I look forward to hearing more about these projects. I see everybody's kind of got planned there in the chat. So
It's great. Thank you, Connor. Really appreciate it and your support. And we'll get all the information from tonight and the links and everything we chatted about. And if you have any questions, copy Connor, ask us at collegeboard.ca, at ottawa.ca, and we'll be in touch soon, I guess.